Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Minions main channel. Yay! We're back.
Woohoo!
And to the Wednesday show, I have the two most awesome people helping me out, as always. My co-host, Terry DeSantis.
Hello.
And Genty Maxie.
Hello.
And we have to do our customary thing. We have to say hello to everybody in chat before we do anything else, because I don't want to be called a jerk. Assassin is out there. Cynic. Kievernan. Hi, sweetie.
And Kievernan.
And Hate Camel.
And Hate Camel. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hiding there. And Costin showed up too. He's like, hello.
Hate Camel was the first one to curse, which is awesome. Fuck it. Let's light this candle. I'm with you, man.
So Cynic, I gotta tell you what I told Terry, because I'm proud of myself, but I tried so hard yesterday to try to convince the Kiwis that the way that they were gonna have to get their liberation was to kidnap the birds. They don't have any vicious birds. You guys have the emus and the cassowaries. All I got are their little punt-sized birds. So I was like, you gotta hold them hostage.
She's bringing up the bird that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Kiwi birds. Well, because when you talk to a Kiwi, they always refer to the bird. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I've never seen the bird. My understanding is those birds are very rare and you're not going to just ship them to me. I would like one. They're cute. I'm usually referring to the fruit. You know, New Zealand, your fruit.
I've never had one. I've never had a kiwi.
Never had a kiwi.
I like them. I think they're nice.
Are they
Yeah, really nice.
sweet?
Yeah.
Like
they're nice.
Like a pear? Like an apple? What do they... Give me a help here. I don't know.
They kind of have if you're going by texture, it's almost like a creamy Jello. Like if you were to go with like a fruit that's got a texture like a custard,
like an
it's got its
avocado?
own flavor. No, it's not an avocado. It's got like a custard texture or like a creamy texture, but it's
technically Chinese gooseberries. So
Yeah.
they're not even from New Zealand.
No, they just grow really well in New Zealand.
So they're green with black... Are those seeds on the inside with black?
Yep.
And you just eat the seeds? They're not like an apple where you cut them out?
No, you can eat them. It's like strawberries or like dragon fruit. I don't know if you've ever had dragon fruit.
Never had dragon fruit.
Well, if you ever have dragon fruit, it's very similar to kiwi, but milder.
Okay, that helps. That helps a lot. No, I mean I'm pretty limited when it comes to fruits and stuff. I really, except for typical American staples, I haven't really had anything outside the ordinary. I've never had avocado. I don't even know if avocado is a fruit or a vegetable or whatever.
They're a fruit, but they get classified under the vegetable because they taste savory.
What's your favorite? If you had to pick one fruit and that was the only fruit you're going to eat for the rest of your life, not the only thing you're ever going to eat, but it's the only fruit that you're going to eat, what would be the fruit that you would pick?
Oh, that's impossible. Is
that a good question?
I like fruit a lot. If I were to go with anything at this point,
all right, wait,
if I were to really pick, I'm gonna go with an apple. Let's
change it up a little bit.
Terry,
top 3 in order. Jen, can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, top 3 in order. We'll do it that way instead.
Okay, apples. Because there's like so many different types of apples that I have variety right there. But I'm an orchard girl, so I'm gonna pick another one, which is a nectarine. Not because I dislike peaches. I just feel like peaches require more work because they're a little bit fluffy. Whereas nectarines don't have that problem, and they taste like a little bit like peaches to me.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go with blueberries because they're technically a superfruit. I figure I have to have at least one superfruit. At least one.
All right, Terry, you're up.
I mean, if it was only one, I'd just say nectarines.
No, top 3.
But if it's top 3, then after the nectarine, maybe a plum, and
wow.
I do like the stone fruits. But the other one is going to be tough. I'm not sure what a third one would be. But watermelon is quite nice.
Yeah. All right. My top 3 would be apples first, just because exactly what Jen said is that Honeycrisp, Gala, Fuji, Red Delicious. I mean, you name it. There's like a 1,000 different versions. So when you say apple, you still get 1,000 different options, you know. But then after that would definitely be pineapple. I'm a big fan of pineapple. And then after that would definitely be watermelon. Pretty straightforward, and simple. Cherries are kind of like a wink and a nod. You can really substitute pineapples or watermelon for cherries. I love cherries. Especially when they're
cherries are great. I
God.
do like cherries.
And they're like blueberries. They are a superfood. They're especially good for people who have kidney issues.
Cynic mentions passion fruit. Those are also good.
Never had one. I've had plums.
I did think about throwing a banana in there, but then I realized like my resentment towards bananas is really kind of petty. And it's because when I was a kid, one of the things I really liked, and it's not a good thing, but when I was sick, I really liked the banana flavored cough syrup.
Okay.
And that's the flavor that's
like
based
bananas.
off the original. That flavor that they use for that cough syrup is based off the original banana flavor. You know, the original banana flavor. And so when you go to eat a banana and you're like, that doesn't taste anything the same. And I was like, where did you get your banana flavor from? Because this doesn't taste at all like that stuff. And yeah. It's not the banana's fault.
We have Shroom in the audience. And Cannibalistic has stopped by. I like bananas, but they're bad. I'm not allowed to eat them. They're high in posstassium, and if you have kidney problems, it's a no. But I love them. Especially like watching my girlfriend eat them.
I would imagine in the fruit world, they're probably something you got to worry about for sugar too. Like if you eat, no,
they're not that bad. Pineapple's much worse. Pineapple's got much more sugar.
Yeah, well, yeah. In comparison, yeah.
Yeah, and watermelon's basically water and sugar. That's all there is to it.
I just remember watching this documentary with orangutans, because orangutans are probably my favorite amongst the great apes, but they regularly put the orangutans on diets by eliminate. They're not allowed to have as many bananas. Bananas to orangutan is like chocolate to a woman.
Yeah, they're kind of fat.
When my dad was in hospital because he stopped the kidney treatment and he was like, it's time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Bananas were one of the things. He's like, yeah, give me those. Like, because he got his whole life he was not allowed to eat a lot of things like chocolate, bananas, all the like really high potassium stuff.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, bananas, chocolate. I want all of it.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of potassium in apples too, but it's not nearly as bad as bananas. Bananas are like, one or two of them is like really dangerous.
I think tomatoes were another one. Like he really wanted ham, cheese, and tomato sandwiches from the food shop downstairs.
Yeah.
From the hospital.
It's also what you can do with apples that I always found amazing, like that you get pectin from apples. So a lot of jam is made from pectin, or like certain kinds of marshmallows can be made with pectin. A lot of people don't know what goes into the making of our food. Like even just telling people what was used to make your candy, something as simple as that, and they're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, Costin's big on the grapes. I'm big on grapes too. But the question is, red grapes or green grapes?
Green.
Green?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Because red grapes still have a seed, but the green grapes don't. So you could just eat the green grapes and just.
I was just going by flavor. I just prefer green.
Green's a little tart, a little bit more of a tart taste, where red's a little bit more of a sweet taste, right?
I find the green a little bit more sweet, but I find that with the red one, I'm a little bit iffy with red grapes just because red wine kind of gives me the hives, and I think it's probably due to the reds. The thing with red grapes is they do have a chemical that makes them red. I think it's just a little bit there. It's not as intense when I'm eating grapes as it is with wine, but I'm just like, I probably shouldn't eat too many of you. But I like grapes. Like if you have me red or green, I'm not gonna complain. I don't eat that many to make that a big deal. But I am a little bit weary of them because of that.
Old Grouchy Gamers in chat And also,
Original shrimp as well.
Assassin put his preferences in emojis in chat.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Apples, bananas, peaches, and grapes in that order. We're talking about
Shrimp
fruit,
is-
folks. We're talking about fruit, okay?
Shrimp says grapes have to be frozen. My dad used to freeze grapes.
Mhm.
I don't mind them frozen, but I wouldn't spend the time to freeze them. If I had grapes, I'd just eat them.
Were they
wouldn't-
frozen solid frozen?
Yeah.
How could you eat them? I mean, you have to bite through them. They're hard.
I
don't
could
know,
see that. I
'cause
could see that.
Yeah, I mean, he did give me a few, like, I mean, they're nice, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't go to the trouble. They're not. Then the difference isn't big enough for me.
So I can't remember what her condition was for, but I knew a lady who would do something similar with cranberries. I think it had to do with her bladder. Like I know cranberries are really
Yeah.
good for that. So
Yeah, they're
she
good
would buy
for-
them frozen and just eat them like that.
Yeah, they're good for your urinary tract. They
Yeah.
they help keep you regular, and they help keep your gut bacteria balanced, and they're an anti-inflammatory. They're really good for you.
Mhm.
Cranberries. It's just they're
That's a
very
big thing.
bitter.
Yeah, I think that's why she preferred them frozen.
Couldn't taste
Just
them as
because
much.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not as bitter, but I find freezing certain fruits kind of brings up the sweetness, tones down the bitter just a little. Not always.
Mm.
But yeah, I can see that working for grapes too. And if you're in a hot area, that'd be nice.
Yeah. The other
Yeah.
one is I've never tried watermelon with salt on it. Like I've seen people on Twitter mention it, and I was like, I've never.
I
thought
get the
to put salt-
concept, but
No.
Yeah, I don't know what it tastes like with salt because all over Twitter, like, do you like it with or without salt? I was like, I can't compare them. I've never tried.
No.
I didn't even know it was. I didn't know it was a thing until Twitter.
Yeah, me neither.
I was like, wait, you do that? Oh, I get the concept. Like, some people like salted caramel. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Salted fruit, not so much. I mean, I guess if you have pineapple on pizza, it works as like salted fruit, but
I like Vegemite, so obviously I'm not averse to salt.
I do have kind of a weird one though. I like cantaloupe, but I like to put confectioner sugar on top, just a little bit, not a lot, just to put a little nice little frosting on top of them. Not
always
regular
get
sugar, not
confused.
granular, but it has to be confectioner, that powdery sugar.
I always get confused. Is cantaloupe the same as rock melon, or is that something else?
it's the kind of orange one.
Yeah, it's like
what?
honeydew, but orange instead of green.
Yeah.
Am I helping at all? No.
No, because I like rock melon, but I know that America
Let
has a
me,
different
Google it.
name for it, and I can't remember if cantaloupe is the same thing or if it's.
I don't know what a rock melon is. What
I'll
does
look
it?
it
What does
up.
it look like?
It's a cantaloupe. It's a
Is it-
cantaloupe.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Google is your friend.
Yeah,
My,
I was just about to do that.
My grocery makes these little fruit bowls. Well, they take regular fruit. They don't. It's not processed from a plant. They bring in all the fruits and they cut them all up and put them in these little bowls and sell them. And it's grapes, cantaloupe, honeydew melon, watermelon, and pineapple, all mixed up in this little bowl. About I don't know, just a little bit bigger than your hand, enough for one person to eat and be full, kind of almost a meal kind of deal. And they are just they're so good. Just take a little bit of confectioner sugar and just sprinkle it over the top and just eat the whole thing. And I'm done for that's like dinner. I don't have to eat anything else after that. And I can just go to bed. It's fantastic.
I'm looking at this image of a plate of cantaloupe, and I know the store that I used to work at would have made me do this, but I get to point fingers at Terry because this is their recipe because they called it rock melon. I would have still called it a cantaloupe because I'm from North America, but they put prosciutto and wrapped it around their cantaloupe, and yeah, I used to do that for people's trays. It was nasty.
Prosciutto?
Never tried
That's
that.
bread?
No, the ham.
Oh,
thin
I
ham,
thought you
the
said
really,
prosciutto with a B. That's a that's a
Yeah,
bread.
you're thinking of the tomato spread. Well, yeah, chunky tomato spread.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, it's a dip, or I don't know that it's a dip. I need an Italian to explain that one because I know how it's served, but I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to make trays for cheese and meat trays, and every once in a
you're
while
making me
you do stuff
hungry.
like that. Yeah, they were fun to make. Sometimes I questioned it though. Like this girl was like, I'm gonna try doing like fancy stuff. So she would experiment, and then naturally as staff we have to try stuff because we're supposed to sell this crap to people. And you're like, no, that's not a good combo. Please don't use me as your guinea pig.
Do you have Lunchables where you are?
Yes. Yeah.
Terry, do you have them?
Me, no. Nope.
No. They're basically a small kit, maybe 6 inches by 6 inches or something like that, and it has a compartment for cheese, compartment for crackers, and a compartment for meat. And they have different variations. They have like ham and cheese or ham and cheddar, American and turkey. You know, just like little circular crackers and cheese kind of things you would see on a dessert platter or something like that. They sell them in these little things now. Because the crackers are made of wheat, I can't eat the crackers, but I eat them anyway. But they have round crackers in it with square pieces of cheese that just cover the cracker, and then a round piece of meat on top of it. And I used to eat them when I was a lot younger. My body would be able to tolerate them. It can't really tolerate them much anymore, but they're so good that I just can't stop.
It's
Assassin is getting annoyed. He says, "Food is not on the title. Can we go after Castro's bastard now?" And so
we can. But I'm gonna help out Hammer real quick before we move on, just because I did work at a deli. So part of the problem with the Lunchables is if you have an allergy to wheat, you're probably gonna have an allergy to the meat, because sometimes the meat itself has wheat in it. So if you want to do something similar, because you could probably do something similar. You've got a nice wife. Well, no, not wife, but you know what I mean.
Don't let her hear you say that.
Your partner who loves you, I'm sure, could do this for you. Just when she goes to get meat from like the deli, just ask them to check if the meat that they're slicing has wheat in it, because it'll say on the package, and it's like maybe a 0.2.5 is the same thickness as what they sell in the Lunchables. Yeah,
I can definitely tell them to cut it thicker. Like when I get lunch, maybe get it really thin. What were we gonna say, Terry?
So, for the benefit of Assassin of the Grey, Jen, what is Trudeau's favorite fruit?
Jag meat sing.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that one, that's because you're not from my country.
He's a fruit, all right. Well, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Canada anyway. And we were kind of chit-chatting a little bit before the show about what's going there, talking about C-11. But I wanted to get to the weapon stuff first, because that's...
You're going to know more about that than me necessarily, not because I'm not following it. It's just I don't know guns. I don't like necessarily talking about guns because I don't know them.
Yeah.
You know, I've never held one. So I don't feel comfortable talking about it. I wish I was my dad, because my dad hunts. Like, he used to hunt. He technically does so with a crossbow. So he's not even on the list that they're looking at. I'm like, my dad has a fucking crossbow.
Well,
but you know, whatever.
Speaking of Canada, Sora Luna is in chat. Hello, Sora.
Hi, Miss Sora.
Yeah, I don't have like, a half an hour's worth of material on it, but basically, because you guys, we were talking about this before the show, because you don't have the American Constitution, you don't have a Second Amendment right to self-defense. And Trudeau has decided that no more guns.
Yep.
They started with banning rifles, and now it's no guns at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to penalize you if you own one. I mean, he's not going to put it in the criminal code. I mean, that's all a lie.
Yet.
He is.
Yeah.
Because he's done nothing but lie about everything. Like, even this right now is just another power grab. He's done nothing but power grab after power grab after power grab. And this is just another one for a situation that didn't even affect us. And yeah, it was a sad situation, but it didn't affect us.
Yeah. Johnny Hellcat's in chat, our Thursday night host. How's it going, Johnny? Good. Good, Jen.
Oh, but just so you know, if you've ever known somebody in a car accident, you're no longer allowed to drive either, because that's what they're doing. It's ridiculous. And I'm sorry. I can understand if they wanted to do something about our mental health situation, because that's actually a big issue up here. Like, there's a lot of people who are suffering from cabin fever, just simple cabin fever.
I mean, you want to fix people's mental health, get rid of the Prime Minister.
Basically. Get him to touch some serious grass, but he won't. His grass is his cabin that he lives in like half an hour away from Ottawa. Just so you know, anytime he goes to hide, it's his cabin.
When is the next possibility that he gets removed?
The only way we're going to get rid of him sooner is if he opens his mouth and starts another election, which, to be fair, we wouldn't really be happy with, but we would be. He's not gonna, because he still has a few more things to do. I'm not sure what's going on with him right now, because his security minister is in trouble, because there's clearly been lying about why they shut us down with the convoy and the Emergency Act, which was clearly the War Measurements Act, and the fact that they haven't released those. They haven't released those powers. They still have them, and they're still making light about the airports. Like, I mean, I was joking about the airports too. It's easy to do that when I haven't traveled anywhere. I haven't had anywhere to go. And to be honest, I wasn't like, if I ever do go to the US, I wasn't planning to just fly. I'm not that stupid. I live like maybe an hour away from the border. I was just going to take a bus. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a pain in the ass. It probably still is, but I wasn't going to bother with flying. But if you ever see a video of what it's like going through our airports right now, like, even if you're a citizen who's had your vaccines, you're going to be there for a couple days. You know, they're going to hold you there. They're going to treat you like what they're doing is normal. And you know, some of the things that I've seen with it, like, that's a little bit inhumane. Canadians aren't known for being cruel. You know, like, sometimes you're inconvenienced at an airport. That shit happens, you know, like, air flights get canceled, stuff happens. We have weather that causes it. But this is for stuff where, you know, it's purely for political reasons. And it looks bad to the outside world. Why would anyone want to do business with us if they know that when they come here, they're going to have the worst time just getting through the airport? And then you go to anywhere in Europe. It's when you realize that you go to Germany and they aren't doing this shit in Germany that you realize that our guys are full of shit, because the Germans are germaphobes.
That's
super germaphobes.
Because it's in their name.
It is.
Germany. They should love them.
Right? You know, so when you know that if I were to go to Germany, and yeah, they would probably check me for stuff. They still would. They're still a foreign country. They'd want to make sure I've got shots for anything that they clear on. But you know what? When I get off the plane and I go into their main airport, I can take off the fucking mask. I still have to wear a mask, even though it's not mandatory. I know if I go into certain places for too long without a mask, people get iffy. But I go without on the train anyway. I'm just like, fuck you guys. If you want to attack me, I'll bite you. If you think I'm full of stuff, I will bite you.
Well, last time I caught a train, I was surprised to see that they still had the mask requirements. I didn't wear one, and no one said anything. But there's still signs up saying wearing a mask is a condition of transit and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, our transit system is taking down mask mandates. It simply says that masks are recommended, even though the president has decided to withdraw the mask mandate requirement. Our transportation has decided that it's something that's recommended, but it's your individual choice. It's like, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask. Fuck you.
Yeah. That was me with the supermarket. If it said masks were mandatory, I just didn't go in. If it said masks are recommended, I was like, okay, you can recommend anything you like. Yeah. Then I went in. And
I recommended me giving all of your stuff for free. That's what I recommend.
Yes.
Of course, if you're in New York, that you can be granted that.
As long as it's less than $950, or is that California?
Right. No, I think it's in New York too, or it's one or the other. It doesn't really matter. It's not like you're going to be arrested either place, right? You just walk in, grab what you want, walk out.
Well, I think you've got to be a certain skin shade to get away with it.
Probably. I've seen a lot of those videos. Man, it's just so discouraging. So the other half of Canada is C-11. Now, this you do know a lot about. If she was at her microphone, she would know a lot about it. But apparently, apparently she's not. I do know about it. Do you know anything about it, Terry?
No. I said in chat, C-11. C-11 run. Not
All right.
11 run.
I saw that.
That's the extent of my knowledge of C-11.
Made me laugh when I saw that. The Sunday night host has shown up. Mr. Adams in chat. Wow, we have a full boat tonight. Hello, all you wonderful, beautiful people out there in chat land.
I think they're just excited to see us back on the main channel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was expecting Johnny to be the first person to be able to broadcast. I just took a shot at it. I was like, well, I was the first person who couldn't, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't the previous night and we just got away with it. Maybe I'll just go ahead and see if we can. And sure enough, it came up. I was like, okay, I guess we're on the main channel again. Because when this happened, I pointed to everybody, it's gonna be next Thursday, but I'll take it. We'll go today.
The Assassin says it's $950 in San Francisco, but in New York they just aren't prosecuting you if you shoplift.
Well, then that's worse in New York then, because they don't have a dollar limit.
Yeah. True.
You walk in, grab a laptop, and walk out.
It wasn't true, but I did like the rumor going around that there was a shop where everything was priced at $1,000, and then when you got to the counter, they gave you a discount voucher for the difference between.
That was a real thing, wasn't it?
From what I heard, it wasn't. It was just something that people thought it would be funny and passed it off as a true thing.
It looked like it was a news crew that did the video, because it had like a what do they call that, crawler underneath, where it has the name of the broadcast studio.
Okay.
And I was like, I thought it was a TV station that did it. If they did, then maybe the TV station was screwing around. But they panned across a whole wall, and everything was like 980, 1,200, everything like that. I was like, well, it was really well done. If it was a joke,
if it was real, that's awesome.
It's very awesome.
From what I heard, I didn't think it was real.
Okay, I don't know. I never looked into it. It was just made me smile, and I kept moving. I didn't really think too much about it. But Jen, are you back? Jen's not back. I can talk about C-11. I did some reading on it too. From what I can tell, it has two components. One is anybody creating.
And the other is 11.
Well, I mean, they had a C-10 bill, and then they kind of reprised it with C-11 to kind of fine tune a little bit. But basically, it does two things, as I understand it. One is creators on platforms that are not big media will be. I guess it would be taxed. If in the United States, it would be taxed. I don't know if they're calling it that in Canada or not.
Sorry, I had to walk away to the bathroom real quick.
That's okay. We were just talking about, or about to talk about C-11, and the two things that I found out about it, and one of them was the fact that they're taking new creators and they're soaking them for money, and taking that money and funneling it to big media. But I thought you'd probably want to go into more detail about that.
So one of the guys that I've been following, I don't follow him all the time because he's a little bit more liberal than normally I listen to that long. But there's a guy on YouTube and Twitter named JJ Kallahu. Mm-hmm. He's actually from Sora's neck of the woods. But he was covering it rather frantically because, like I said, a lot of the liberals like to put this stuff in power because they have a hatred bone right now for conservatives. I'm just saying they have a hatred for us that's almost like they really do think that we're Nazis. They really do think we're the boogeyman in the dark. They really do think that we go out of our way to attack people of color, blah, 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 all that other shit. And they put this stuff into play in our government as though they don't know that somewhere down the line, conservatives will be in power again. And this is stuff that we keep pointing out. Like, it's not boogeymen going, hey, don't put this in play. We are saying legitimately don't put this in play because it infringes upon our freedoms, not just mine, but other liberals, because other liberals seem to think that their ideas fly with everybody else on the planet. Matt Walsh pointed out in his little video that they're freaking out. You go to Africa and you pull any of the shit that we pull here in Africa, and they're like, you guys sound like crazy people.
Yeah,
because that's what the rest of the world is.
You saw that video?
Yeah.
What is a woman? Terry, have you seen it yet?
I haven't watched the whole thing, but
yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
it was good.
Good, Jen.
It was good. Like the parts I saw was enough for me to see what it was he was going for. I do want to watch the rest of it. I just haven't had time, and I don't have a subscription, so
Well,
you know.
I rated it, so I had to watch the entire thing, or else I couldn't rate it. So,
but he's pointing out a lot of things that are just like common sense. You shouldn't have to tell these people online this kind of stuff. Like, it's like the way that you see weebs attacking Japanese people as though they're morally superior to them or something, or like they know better than them about what their content should be. And they're the most ignorant people on the planet. And you're like, you're talking down to these Japanese people. These are fully educated people. They went to school just like you did. They run circles around half of you.
They didn't go to woke academy, so they're morally inferior.
You know, and you see them talking to these people, and you're like, and they're pulling this in our government, and it's creeping into our school system. It's attacking our kids. It literally is attacking our kids. Like, our kids have so many problems with self-identifying with themselves to the point where they're completely lost. It's gross. They're trying to make a new generation of kids that are mentally ill, as though they haven't done that to the last generation or the last three.
Hammer, you've got Jen's name is Eve on the screen. I didn't notice it. I wasn't paying enough attention, but Adam in chat pointed it out.
That I sound Eve sounds like me. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind sounding like Eve.
Oh, yeah, that's because
your name is listed as Eve.
Yeah, the reason is actually when I set up the screen, I had prepped everything for running the Monday show, but I couldn't get enough people to run the Monday show, and Eve was going to do it, and Prospero was going to do it. And when I first brought up the screen, Eve was going to be at top, Prospero was going to be in the center, and I was going to be at the bottom, just like always. And so when I brought up the screen, your name was gone entirely, Terry. It was just a dot there. And her name's Eve, so I need to. It only take a second to fix it. It's no big deal. But thank you for everybody for pointing that out to me.
That's amazing. I was Eve. I don't have the glorious red hair that she has.
It's fixed now.
I require a box of dye for that, and I'm not doing that to my hair. I'll just appreciate that she has the glorious red hair, and I don't.
I took the name away entirely.
You're good. You're good. Hey, I am sucking up to Eve. Let me suck up to Eve because she's awesome, and I don't know if I'm ever going to visit you guys. Like I would like to, but I don't know.
If you do, you won't be able to get back in your own country.
I know, right? Does that mean I can claim refugee status? Because that would be amazing.
Jen has her name back. There you go.
There we go.
So yeah, that's the so C-11 has the fact that it's going to take away revenue, but it also has a second thing to C-11. Is there two things that it does?
So it's also going to limit our ability to see what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's CanCon. Is that the phrase I saw? Can you explain that? What is CanCon?
Let me see if I can find it.
As I understand it, CanCon is this idea that things done in Canada have to be preferred over things done anywhere else. So if you're going to make something, you're supposed to make something that's from Canada for Canada.
Basically.
So for us, by us kind of thing.
Yes.
We have the same thing here. It's called Made in America. It's a kind of like a little movement that promotes.
It's basically if you were to peddle something that you say you had a video that you'd made. Say you're ranting monkey and you were posting a video that you've made. It's maybe making fun of some of the American politicians, but you know what? It doesn't affect me as a Canadian at all. He has to throw something in there with Canadian content for it to reach me. And that's what it means by censorship. And it goes both ways. It's not just that you're going to have a limit on stuff that I'm going to see. You're going to have a limit on what stuff you can see from me. Unless I put a bunch of Canadian crap in there. And
No, just have the first words of every live stream be maple syrup, and you're good.
Hockey team.
Well, you know what? If they force me
Moose.
to speak French, I'm going to speak more with Sam L.
Do you know how well is your French? How good is your French?
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Is it?
I do this thing with Sam L every once in a while where I will pretend to speak French to him, and he'll be like, "Oh God," and then he'll correct me.
Oh God! What a great reaction! Oh God! She's speaking with that thing that's supposed to sound like. The reason I my ears perked up when you said that was because I took an amazing, 50 years ago or 40 years ago, I took 2 years of French in high school because everybody else was taking Spanish. You had your choice. You had to pick one of them. You had to take 2 years of Spanish or 2 years of French. Everyone was taking Spanish. So I was like, fuck you. I'm going to be me like I always am. And I'm going to take French. And I did. I took 2 years of French. I don't remember much because 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I see people like Abbott and Preach who are speaking fluent French. And I could still pick out what they're saying a little bit. I still have enough of remembering the structure and the words that sound similar to and that kind of stuff. So I could kind of catch what they're saying. And I was thinking to myself, what I need to do is I need to start surrounding myself with people who speak French and get back into learning the language.
To go with. I joke with myself all the time that if I had the money to pay one of those guys to just teach me French for an hour, say I had $100, be like, hey, listen, could you do me a favor? Maybe put it towards a little stream for your fans, because it's not that I didn't want to learn French. It's just the teachers that I had a mixed bag. Like my first elementary school, I had great teachers. They were really keen on teaching me French. But then I moved schools and the teacher handed me a book and was like, tell me what the French word is for soccer. And then handed me a book. And I was like, so I went from somebody who had images and graphs and
French word
comparisons.
For soccer?
Yeah, it's football.
Yeah.
Football. And she just, it was the way that she just handed me the book. It was just like, if all I needed to learn another language was a book, all I would need to do is go to a library. And I walked out of her class because I was like, my parents pay money. Yeah, my parents pay money for this.
Yeah, I get it.
I did like one term of French at the beginning of high school because we had to do, because there's 4 terms in the school year. I don't know how you guys do it in America, but 1 term for French, 1 for Italian, 1 for Spanish, and then 1 for Indonesian because, like I'm in Australia, they're close by. And that was the extent of my French, was that 1 term in year 7.
My American schools are just a little different. In grades 7 and 8, you must take a language in those 2 years. So you could take 1 year of French and 1 year of Spanish if you wanted to, but they want you to take 2 years. And and when you're in 7th, you have to take a language, and in 8th you have to take a language. You don't have to be the same language. But once you get into high school, which is 9 through 12, you don't have to do any language.
Okay, because for us in years 8 and 9, we had to pick one of those 4 languages to focus on. I picked Italian. And then from year 10, 11, 12, like you could take it if you wanted, but it was not mandatory anymore.
Italian has better looking chicks anyway. But I need to start surrounding myself with people who speak French so I can get into the language and then have somebody to talk to. Because if you don't have anybody to talk to who knows French, you will lose it. Just like anything else that you don't use, you will lose it. So I need to start. Very good
Italian at all.
Don't make the mistake of going to Quebec for that French language, not because they don't speak French, but because they don't really speak a relevant French.
French.
I'm not saying that to throw shade at them because Abbott probably knows exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, sure.
But learn French because that one will serve you a little bit more, because the other colonies that were French speak that French. They don't speak our French. Our French is kind of like a slap up their face because we're the original French, or at least the original French that's been butchered by English.
Yeah, they say it's a little bit more of a guttural French, that regular French is a little bit more elegant or flows off the tongue better or something like that. I've heard.
Well, it's spoken from the diaphragm, whereas Old French is spoken from the cheek and the tongue. So how it sounds when it's produced is different. But also the slang is different. Like France and Quebec have been split from each other for almost 200 years. So the French language is different now. It is different.
I learned from The Simpsons. You've got to say it with a Scottish accent. It's bonjour.
Bonjour.
As groundskeeper Willie.
So here's good, Terry.
No, as groundskeeper Willie was teaching the French class, and that was the thing. He's like very thick Scottish accent trying to teach French.
The irony of that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's a question for chat. I mean, Sora's kind of the cheat here because she's already mentioned that, or at least written some French there. Bonjour, je m'appelle Vivi. But I think that's part of it too. Not just speaking French, but speaking French as a French person. Big difference. But the question for chat is, do you speak another language? And if so, what is that language? And if you speak 3 or 4 different languages, list them all. But I'd be interested to know if there are people in our chat who know other languages besides English. If Samuel was here, obviously we'd say French. There are people who speak other languages as well in the Minions, but I'd be interested to see if anybody from our current chat group actually speaks another language besides. And I don't even really, I make the distinction, and I may be wrong with this, but I make the distinction between speaking English and speaking American. I believe there's enough difference there that you can say, well, this is this way and this is that way. And it's not just slang, it's the entire presentation, including inflections and all that kind of stuff.
The last letter of the alphabet is
there
very
you go.
important. It's Z. And
yeah.
I don't know where you guys get this Z nonsense from.
Yeah. Because
I like both.
I think the reason behind that is because we don't have multiple sounds in our letters. Like when you say Z, you're using Z and D as the consonants. We don't believe in having those two, so we just say Z, and there's no D at the end because there's a letter for that. It's the letter D. That's another letter. We don't.
I think Sanguine actually looked it up at one point, and it was like there was a competition in America to see which pronunciation would get used, and Z won because it rhymed better.
Are you guys looking in chat?
Yeah.
Sora speaks Romanian. I assume that she speaks a little bit of French because she lives in Canada, right? You almost can't get away with it.
She did, but she said that she took both Spanish and French, but she
Romanian.
You know,
cool.
She probably does better than I do, though. You know, like as much as I throw shit at my teacher, I didn't take it past elementary school because you didn't have to. And I'd been a little bit burnt by that last teacher. I was like, I don't want to waste my mom and dad's money on somebody who's just going to throw me a book.
TUES,
at that point, I'll just get a library pass.
TUES speaks German, Czech, and Irish.
Yeah.
Irish is hard, man. I'm Irish, and I know Irish is a tough language. And you speak Czech. I am Czech. But, I mean, Romania isn't that far away, right? How far is Romania from what used to be Czechoslovakia? I guess now it's the Czech Republic. Are they neighbors? I don't know my geography.
I'm not sure if they are. I
Camel
think they might
speaks
be
English,
close.
Spanish, and Choctaw.
Choctaw is the Indian tribe that he.
I was about to say, isn't that Indian? Yeah. And a sliding scale
I'm
of
guessing
ability.
Blue Shot Seed is Johnny's tribe or something similar because he says Spanish in a very small amount of Blue Shot Seed, but.
Wow, I didn't know you
I don't
guys
know
had American Indian in you. I didn't know that at all. I learned a lot today.
Not quite.
And English.
Not quite.
That's the Japanese version of English. I'm gonna get us banned for another week, I swear.
But I was actually, I mean, when I was a kid, I was reading these books and I was very excited because one of the spells that you could cast was called Z. And it's like, finally someone who doesn't call it Z, because like all the American TV that I was watching was calling it Z. It's like, but it's Z. Why are you getting it wrong?
It's North
Because I
America.
didn't know
It's
at the
not
time
just
that it was a cultural difference.
It's North America. It's not just the States. You know, it's not just us. It's everybody in North America. What is New Zealand? Your neighbor, well, your reluctant neighbors. Do they use Z or do they use Z?
I would imagine they use Z, but I've not actually.
But who wants to talk to those guys?
They
right?
use Z. They use Z. They basically sound.
Who cares?
They don't sound the same as Terry.
It's New
like
Zealand.
People who say that are wrong. I would say, if anything, it's like comparing my accent to somebody from Newfoundland. You know, like there's similarities,
Right.
but they're very different.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to me and then you talk to someone from Newfoundland, you're like, you got little inflexes that sound like you watch the same TV. You know, you read from the same books, but you don't sound the same.
Old Grouchy Gamer says, I can barely speak American. See, he's got my back. American and English are not the same things, because there's no one I want to talk to, and I don't blame you, my man. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's not just the fact that we use an R, and if you're in Australia or England, you don't really use an R. It's either nothing or an AH. Because I mean, it's not strong with you, but I listen to people who are Aussies who deal primarily with Aussies who don't really interact with Americans, and I listen to them say words that are in English, not American, and they have no concept of the letter R. You know.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
water, you know.
Well, I mean,
AH at the end. There's no R.
So just to
made fun of me because the swear word that I shall not say on this channel. Apparently, when I say it, it doesn't sound like I'm saying the hard R version because of my accent.
Right. But your accent, you understand the R and the AH, and if you wanted to speak American, you know how to make that quick conversion just using the R.
Yeah.
You'll immediately sound much more American just by using an R. But even Australians and English over in the UK, their voices are different. The way they say water is different. We say it water, WADDER is how we say it, water. But
I say water.
Right, so you're DDAH, and over in England, it's WATAH. It's water.
Yeah.
They specifically say the T.
But I could say water and
sounding American.
But that's not how I naturally speak.
Right. And saying things like, for me, it's water. You know, that's how I naturally speak. And I can say water and sound like I'm from Australia, or I could say water and sound like I'm from New England or from England. But they're not natural for me. If you had me speak a sentence, I would get it all wrong. You know, I couldn't naturally just speak a whole sentence and sound like it. For as much as I love other accents, unless I'm around somebody regularly who has a strong accent, I can't pick it up.
So so Sora feels a little bit better. I'm just letting you know that Romania is actually behind Hungary. You know, they're actually a couple of countries away from the Czech. Like there's Slovakia and Austria and Hungary in between them. So Europe is a clusterfuck. You know, I always do have to pull up a map because you guys are a clusterfuck. And I'm not saying that to you, Sora, because you're not really from Europe, but
I only know of two Romanians. Sora, obviously, and the guy who's friends with Sargon. That's it.
Watch every European who watches this shake their fist in my direction. What do you mean we're a clusterfuck? Have you seen your own country? I'm like, yes.
Join the club. What is Icy? Is she Norway or where is she? She's up in the Nordic countries somewhere, Finland or Sweden.
Wasn't she Dutch? Isn't she from the Netherlands?
Dutch, Netherlands? I don't know.
I think.
That's the most exotic person I know.
I very barely. I don't think I've ever spoken to her, but from what I've heard, I think she's Dutch.
Yeah, she's a lot like. If you were to take, I would say she reminds me a lot of Kefke. She's just generally adorable and very easygoing and kind of shy, kind of cute, kind of.
Yeah.
I like talking with her, but she's busy doing other stuff. She doesn't have time for us.
Hi, Adamantine.
It happens.
Addie's in chat. How you doing,
Real
sir?
life gets in the way. It's what it does.
So, well, that's enough of Trudeau. I think I've had my fill of C-11. Let's get to some America stuff. Did you see? Did you see? Because nothing's happening in Australia, right, Terry? There's just nothing really going on.
I don't pay attention, so if it's happening, it's passing me by.
It's not impacting you. You don't care. Which is probably the way we all should be.
And to be honest, I haven't heard anything from you guys recently. So I imagine you're in the build-up mode for something special because you're Australian.
Yeah, there's going to be something going on.
No offense. If I were you, Terry, I would be doing exactly the same thing you're doing because you're bunkering right now. By your very nature, you bunker anyway.
If it doesn't affect me directly, it's like, I'm sure I'll hear about it if it's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, Elon was recorded saying that he's going to vote for DeSantis if DeSantis runs, because he voted for that new Democrat or that new Republican. Geez, I should have probably done some.
The one who flipped the
state from blue to red. I mean, like noticing
First time in 150
32% vote change. Yeah, who hasn't been read in a long time, and she looks like she's one of those people who are just on the ball. I watched her talk a couple of times. She's Spanish in some way. I don't know if she's Mexican or what she is.
They said that she was she's technically Mexican born.
Okay.
Like they were, so the article that they were writing about her, I didn't read the rest of the article because I didn't care for the way that they were labeling her like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not true. I just don't want that to be the main factor of what they're trying to sell to me. And the fact that you just said right away that, she sounded like she was on the ball, that's what I actually want to hear.
Yeah.
Well, the other stuff is more like a bonus. Like, she's got the story of that's great.
I can certainly be a man because she's a hottie. She looks like a younger Tulsi Gabbard. She's a very pretty girl.
She looked pretty, but I mean that's.
But what impressed me is what her accomplishments has been, changing that vote that dramatically. And this is kind of a precursor for what's about to come in the primaries.
I don't think the Dems really realized how much they've pushed people away, especially with the fact that they've gone after children. You cannot push ideology and things that sound like they're damaging to children on parents and then not think that they're going to flip on you. And to think that you're going to be able to pick and choose what parents are going to side with you across the board. It doesn't matter if you're brown or black or white or Asian, especially if you're Asian, because, they don't cater to China at all. Except for they do.
Yeah.
This thing that they're pushing, it's not going to work. It's not. And
they're simply making all the wrong choices. If you're given a left and a right and you go the wrong way every single time, people recognize that. And this whole thing with the economy and gas and oil and everything that every inflation, everything that they're doing. Biden gets into office, and what does he do day one? Is he closes the pipeline to Canada? The hell are you doing, dude? And that's where it all started from day one. Because if you look at his presidency and the gas prices, day one it's up 4%, then another day it's up 4.5%. It just constantly went up from that point on.
Well, it's not just that. Like he's been very much banking off of this idea that everyone just really loves his ideas. Like they really want to go with what they're doing, this ideology thing. So I've been watching little clips from this lady named Savannah Hernandez.
Yeah.
She keeps getting banned for it, but another pretty one. I'm just gonna say I was gonna share it with Jack Crawford because I thought he might like that.
Yeah,
one.
What is she, Chinese or Japanese or something like that?
I'm not sure.
But yeah,
she's one of those interesting faces where she could blend into a crowd and get away with some stuff. But she's asking the right questions and she's going to the right communities and getting honest answers. Like, there's this painting that the Dems have of the Black community. It's so far out to left field. Like you sit there watching her go from person to person to person, and like have they actually talked to the Black community at all? Outside of like the leaders who are always questionable.
No, they just pet Black people on the head and say good person, and they don't care what they have to say. Just vote for us.
One of my favorite videos that I've seen on Twitter, I think his name was Ari Horowitz, something like that. He's going around asking all these liberals, and he's saying like, is it racist to require voting ID? And like, oh yeah, Black people can't find the DMV. ID. Yeah, and then he goes to the actual Black people and says, okay, this is what white people think about you. He's like, do you know where the DMV is? Like, yeah, it's just down on
and they mention the exact address too. It's like 13th and 47th Street. They know exactly where it's at. He said that they don't know how to use the internet. Yeah,
it's like, why do they think that? It's like,
It's embarrassing. You know, if you're a white person, you watch that. Have you seen it, Jen?
Well, yeah, I have. It's not just that. Like, did you know that the WHO wants to change the name of monkeypox?
Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh my
You know, it's
God.
the same thing. Like, and why they want to change the name from monkeypox? And it's just like these people are the worst people on the planet.
I should change it
Talking
from
to
monkeypox to AIDS.
Yeah.
No. I figured it out. They should change it from monkeypox POX to monkeypox POCS. Because
people of color.
Yeah, because they're already insanely racist. They should just come out and admit it. At this point.
Even just saying that they want to change it because they don't like the fact that it has the word monkey in it. If you think monkey and you see black people, you're the problem.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my point. That's why just change it to POCs, and it'll still be pronounced the same, and they'll just be admitting that they're racist because they are.
It really is, because they're projecting on everybody else what they're already doing, and it's so many problems for everybody. But it was nice to see that the black community was like, yeah, we kind of miss Trump because we had money under Trump. Like, yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do when the next presidency comes along in 2024. DeSantis says he's not going to run if Trump runs. And that's a smart move. DeSantis is still a young guy. He's got plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to be Trump unless they find some way to keep them out of running. People will write him in. They don't care.
I don't think it would be a good idea for Trump to run.
I don't think so either. But he probably will. His ego is not going to allow him not to run.
That's true.
And if anybody comes up against him in the Democratic Party, he's just going to rip them apart. He is a bull in a china shop.
See, I have this daydream, and I know it's silly, but if the Dems wanted to do something really, really amazing, they should run with Hillary again.
Oh God!
And that way,
Or Bernie.
when the Republicans run with Trump again, because that's the one reason you run with Trump again. It's the one true reason you should run with Trump again.
The guaranteed Hillary killer, right?
Yeah, because just telling her no one more time. I did feel
watch her
like
head
that
explode
the
like a
first
jet
time she
commercial.
ran. It's amazing how much I've learned about Hillary Clinton since she ran against Barack Obama. Because I used to kind of like her because I was naive. You know, I thought she seemed like a nice enough lady, but the more you look into her, you're like, and the more you look into the Dems, it's not all Dems. It's just certain ones. Did you know that John Wayne Gacy was a Dem?
As long as people with Pokemon go to the polls, I think Hillary will be happy.
You know, I want to look into more of these Dems closets just to find out if they were eating people.
It's all the worst people.
It's not.
Pokemon go to the polls. It still cracks me up.
I got into this argument with a girl on Twitter about the history. You don't want to vote for Republicans because history will look poorly on you. And my reply was like Jim Crow laws and the KKK. Is that the history you're talking about? Because that's all Democrat stuff, and they don't want to talk about that. Shut her up real quick. She blocked me, of course.
Of course.
But I did not
yeah,
tweet that she blocked me because am I the only person who has a problem with that?
I don't necessarily have a problem with it unless it's just you're doing it for clout. And most people are doing it for clout.
If you block me, that's fine. I don't have any problem with you blocking me. But if you block me and then I tweet to the entire world, hey, everybody, this person blocked me. What are you trying to say there? Are you saying that you obviously said something that pisses this person off and this somehow that makes you a good person? I don't get it.
I think it depends because when I got blocked by Eric Idle, I told everyone because I was fucking thrilled. Eric Idle from Monty Python.
From Monty Python, yeah.
Yeah, when he blocked me, I told anyone who'd listen and several people who wouldn't. Because
he noticed you enough to block you? Is that the deal?
Yeah, basically. It's like, holy shit, Eric Idle, like someone that I looked up to my entire childhood, has blocked me on Twitter. This is amazing.
He's seen me,
now,
senpai.
But if it was like, you know, some random lefty that blocked me, it's like,
Yeah.
Oh well, get on with your life.
I have a hard time seeing it from the perspective that it's in any way a good thing. I can understand your side of it, so it probably wouldn't bother me. But just saying, I talked to this person, even if there's somebody who's fairly important, and you say, hey, look, Ethan Klein blocked me. It's not that he's important, but he's known. It's kind of like, yeah, well, Ethan Klein blocks everybody. And what did you say to them? Do you call him fat or something? Because that's all you need to do. Yeah. It's easy to get blocked by Ethan Klein. It's like getting blocked by Steve Shives.
No, I was just going to say, it's like, I didn't make a big song and dance about getting blocked by Steve Shives because everyone is. Who cares? It's like being blocked by Steve Shives is insignificant. It just means you're on Twitter.
I never say anything to anybody with the intention of trying to get myself blocked, because I think that's virtue signaling bullshit. But I see a lot of people doing it, and those are usually the ones that paste it on Twitter.
I think it's the ones that I kind of get where you were really genuinely trying to have a conversation with somebody. And because they couldn't handle the conversation and they blocked you, I can understand sharing that. It's not because you're trying to prove like, hey, yeah, I said something so heinous. It's more of just like, hey, I was having a genuine conversation with you and you couldn't handle it so bad that you slammed a door in my face.
Right. I got into this conversation today with a woman who we started talking back and forth about having guns, and she didn't like 18-year-olds having guns, so she was fine with going to 21. And I said, yeah, well, people 18 have different. Some people are more mature, blah 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 blah, and it got a little tense. And she says, well, who do you think I am? She says, do you think I'm going to be this kind of person? Do you think I'm this kind of person? What do you think, hammerhead? And I was like, oh, you're one of those people. And she says, what kind of people? Yeah. She said, what kind of people? I said, the kind of person who would use a personal attack to win an argument. And she says, wait a minute. She says, I didn't mean hammerhead in a bad way. I just thought it kind of went really cute. She thought, what would hammer go along with? It's a hammerhead shark. She says, I didn't mean any disrespect. I was like, okay, I will give this person, I replied, maybe it's just a misunderstanding. And it turned out to be a misunderstanding. She was like, I really apologize. I didn't mean to make you think that I was talking down to you or talking bad about you. I thought it was a cute affirmation, or not even affirmation, it's the word I'm looking for. Affectation. It began with an A. I was close. A cute affectation to just lighten the mood a little bit. And I was like, okay, it's all cool. And it turned out that we had a good conversation. And I kind of agreed with her a little bit, because she said 18 was too young to have a weapon, and she was fine with it moving to 21. But she wanted everything to be 21.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when she said that, I was like, well, that's perfectly reasonable. That's an honest, perfect, easy to justify, non-hypocritical opinion. I totally agree with you. As far as having that opinion, you're perfectly fine having the opinion. I could see it from your perspective. It's cool. I don't agree with you, but I have no problem with you having that opinion, because it was honest. It made sense. And I said to her, so you mean that they can't go in the military until they're 21? They can't cut off their genitals till they're 21. They can't have an abortion till they're 21. I ran down all the things that she was talking about. She says, yes, I agree. Everything should be 21. I was like, perfect. I got you. We're good. And that was the end of the conversation. And she sent me a couple little things after that. I was just kind of like, hi, how you doing? I was like,
now, my only exception would be having sex. I do think the sexual age of consent should be slightly lower than the
21.
Age of adulthood. Like, I mean, I've got no problem with 16-year-olds banging each other. I don't think that's a big deal. They're going to do it anyway.
Yes.
What's the point of making it illegal?
Surprising that they're making it to 16.
Well, they're probably, but my point is the legal age of consent in Australia is 16. Yeah. And I think that's fine. I've got no problem with that. And then the legal age of adulthood is 18. So you want to gamble, you want to drink, you want to, do it, like sign contracts, anything that you have to be an adult to do, it's 18.
In America, most of it is 18. There's a couple of states, I think Kansas and a few other, that are 16. However, there's a caveat. If you get married with consent from the parents, the youngest is 13.
That's too young.
Yeah. So, but you have to be married. Yeah, you have to be married, and you have to have the consent of the parents to marry. So, yeah.
Still too young.
It is too young. It is too young. I mean, I don't know when girls generally get their period. and their period for me is kind of a marker that says, okay, I'm in the position where I'm actually menstruating and I'm dropping eggs and I could get pregnant. That's kind of the beginning of womanhood, not maturity.
Yeah, anything post-puberty. Once
Oh
you've
yeah,
got to puberty,
it doesn't mean
you're-
maturity at all.
No.
I can prove that because
No, it
I
doesn't.
was 10 when I had my first period. So
Yeah.
no,
It
that sounds like Muslim talk, and I would still
No,
tell
but-
the Muslim dude, no.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
10,
I
go
don't
fuck
agree
yourself.
with I don't agree with any of this. I don't even like 16. I think 18 should be the law. But like Terry said, they're gonna do it. What are you gonna do?
But I would say anything post-pubescent is at least not as bad as like pedophilia. Like if you're sexually
Ebophilia, yeah.
mature in the physical sense, not the emotional or mental sense, then it's a big difference than if you're banging like a 6-year-old. Like there's a massive difference between 16 and like 10. Like
Yeah.
Well, even still, like when I was 13, yeah, physically speaking, I might have been mature enough to handle something like that, but mentally, no. Like physically, yeah, I probably could have gotten away with getting pregnant. 13-year-olds were pregnant back 200 years ago. But
my
mentally
grandmother,
speaking, no.
my grandmother on my mother's side got married at 15, and he was 20. So it was kind of on the edge of being too far. But back then, it was no big deal.
It's a different world when you're talking about in the past. Like in the past, your life expectancy wasn't the same either. So the idea that you're having children a little bit earlier in life, it does actually make sense. And your girl children,
40, you don't really have time to mess around.
You
You've
don't.
got to get pregnant quick.
You kind of do.
It's funny you should say that because my grandfather lived to 103 years old.
You know what? It's always kind of a hit and miss. It's all based off of your health and how well you were doing.
But actually, from what I hear, most people weren't dying like super young. It's just the child mortality rate was so high that brought the average lifespan down a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, if you made it out of childhood, you generally lived a decent life, like at least a decent length of time. It's just that so many children died that the average lifespan seems really, really low.
There's always one other factor that's thrown into that one, Terry, and it's all based off of how much money you have.
Yeah. But also, like, just general technological advancement has made childbirth a lot safer. So you've got a lot fewer children dying at like 1. And so the lifespan of the species has increased more from children surviving than the upper limit being raised. I mean, it has been raised, but not to the extent that it looks like.
Sora's telling me in chat, Hammer, you can get a period at 9 years old.
Yeah, you can.
Holy
crap. It's not fun.
Well, no, it's never fun. No matter what age you get it at, it's never fun. But 9? I thought it would be like minimum was like 12. What? I don't know. How would I know? Of all people, how would I? I'm not a parent. I'm not a girl. I wouldn't know.
There's actually kind of backing me up. He's saying the people died at 35 is a misnomer. Reduced life expectancy was impacted by child mortality before age 10.
Right, and probably a lot of dead babies too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, not just children, but
well, when I think of people
babies.
that died at 35, I'm not necessarily thinking about people who lived out their full lifespan. I'm thinking about people who died for other reasons, because most a lot of deaths when I think about history and I really think about how people died in history, it was usually because they were making something like a living. Most jobs in the past, very deadly. It was like, pick your poison. Which way do you want to die?
But disease, there was a lot more disease and it was a lot more deadly. We couldn't cure tuberculosis, polio. There's a lot of things back in the day, smallpox, that killed a lot of people.
Yeah, but look at any kind of building in Europe and realize that the pegs that they used to make them get up that high, they didn't have nails. They used rope and wood to make those. So when you think about people who died, a lot of people died making those churches. Yeah. When you look at those castles, a lot of people died making those castles. And then you think about military back in the day, you were probably between the ages of, I would say between 12 and Yeah, older. So between that age, you're going out to fight. You might not be on the main ground. You might just be the little guy who's helping, your guy get his uniform off and on. But you're still in the heat zone where you can die. So like in terms of like mortality back in the day, different story. We're not talking about lifespans where like you had a healthy lifespan. I'm talking about a lifespan where you died because somebody else caused it. Humans are horrible.
Yeah. In so many ways. It's 10:10. How you doing on time, Jen?
I could go a little bit longer if you guys want to, but if you are tired or if you need to eat or
I'm a little tired. I'm just surprised Jack's not here. I thought Jack would have stopped by now to signal the end of the stream, but he's not here. I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't know we're back on the main channel.
That's true.
Jack. My girlfriend keeps poking her head in. She obviously needs something, so she wants me to get out of here. So unless you guys got something else you want to bring up, I think we've had enough talking about menstruation at 9 years old.
We don't have to go there.
Yeah, great way to end the stream, right?
It was traumatic enough the first time.
All right, so unless you guys got something that you want to... No,
I'm good.
Nothing really going on for me. I'm only doing a shout out for her because I haven't talked to her in a couple days, but Blind Girl's having a little bit of issues with her. So she's got that hummingbird thing that she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in our description.
So for some reason, I'm not sure if it's Ontario government or something, but they went after her PayPal for it.
Really?
So yeah. I'll have to catch up with her on what's going on there. But if anyone wants to keep an eye out for her and give her shouts outs because she's a little frustrated.
It should be in the description of everybody who's broadcasting for the Minions. Try to raise a little bit of awareness for her. So, all right, let me go ahead and get out of here. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. We had a nice big crew. Glad to see everybody came out to see the original channel back on its feet again. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Hosts and start times are listed in the description down below. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye everybody.